The forest moon of Yalara was quiet, too quiet. Tall trees with silver leaves moved slightly in the soft wind, and the sky above was a swirling shade of purple. The only sound was the soft humming of a small human shuttlecraft resting on a flat clearing. The ship belonged to Kai, a lone human explorer on a mission to survey unknown planets for future colonization. Kai had landed just a few hours ago. He had set up a simple base, just a campfire, some equipment, and a scanner to study the land. The air was safe, breathable, and calm. But something felt strange. He had been on many worlds, but this one felt watched. He looked around again, holding a mug of hot synth coffee. His instincts, sharpened from years of training, told him something or someone was nearby. He turned off the scanner's beeping, letting silence take over. And then he heard it. A faint rustle behind the trees. Kai slowly reached for his sidearm but didn't draw it. Instead, he spoke calmly. "I don't want trouble. If you're out there, I mean no harm." For a moment, there was nothing. Then a figure stepped out from the trees. It was a woman, tall, slender, and clearly not human. Her skin was a pale shade of bluish purple, glowing faintly in the twilight. Her ears were small and pointed, and her long hair flowed like soft threads of silver. She wore simple clothing made from natural fibers. She looked both wild and graceful, like a being from an old dream. Kai didn't move. He just stood there, stunned by her sudden appearance. She stared at him. Her eyes were large and bright, reflecting the campfire's glow. She didn't speak. She didn't even blink, and then to Kai's surprise, her eyes filled with tears. Her lips trembled. She took one slow step forward, looked deep into his eyes, then broke down and cried. Kai was frozen in place. He had no idea what he had done. He had never seen her before, and yet she looked at him like she knew him, or feared him. The alien woman covered her face with her hands, turning away slightly. Her shoulders shook with quiet sobs. "Hey, it's okay," Kai said, gently, taking a careful step closer. "I promise I won't hurt you." She didn't run, didn't scream, but she didn't answer either. Kai slowly sat on a rock near the fire, keeping his movements slow and non-threatening. "You can stay here, all right? Just rest. You're safe now." The woman didn't speak. She only wiped her tears, looked at him once more, and sat a few feet away. She curled up on the grass, watching the fire with tired eyes. Kai didn't sleep much that night. By morning, the alien woman was still there. She hadn't run off during the night. She was awake, sitting quietly with her hands on her knees. When Kai handed her a food packet and water, she hesitated but accepted it. She still didn't speak. "Do you have a name?" he asked softly. No answer. He sighed and sat down near her, just enough to show trust. "I'm Kai. I'm from Earth. I'm just here to explore, nothing more." She looked at him, then away. There was so much pain in her eyes. Not confusion. No, it was something deeper. Sadness, fear, memory. Kai spent the next few hours checking his scanner, looking for signs of other life forms. He thought maybe she had family, or a tribe nearby. But there was nothing, just miles of forest and silence. That evening, he tried again. "You don't have to talk if you don't want to, but I want to help. You cried when you saw me. Did I remind you of someone?" Her head turned slightly. She touched her chest, then pointed at him. "I remind you of someone?" Kai repeated. She nodded once, very slowly. That night, she didn't sleep. She sat by the fire, staring into the flames. Kai could see her eyes moving as if remembering something. He wanted to ask more, but didn't want to push her. The next day, Kai found something strange while exploring nearby. A small stone statue half covered in moss. It looked old, shaped like a bird with a human face. He called her over and pointed. "Do you know what this is?" She looked at it, then knelt down. Her fingers traced the edges gently. She whispered a word. Kai leaned closer. "What did you say?" She repeated it, clearer this time. "Forgive." It was the first word she had said. Kai's chest tightened. Something had happened here. something terrible. When she looked at him again, her eyes were not just sad. They were searching, looking for a sign, a reason, anything. "I don't know what happened to you," he said quietly, "but I'll find out. I promise." The alien woman didn't answer, but for the first time she gave a small nod. That night, while Kai sat beside the fire writing a report, the alien woman walked up behind him. She sat down next to him, closer than before. She didn't speak, but she stayed. And for Kai, that was enough. He didn't know who she was, why she cried, or why she looked at him like she knew his face. But he was going to find out. Whatever pain she had lived through, it wasn't over yet, and he wasn't going to leave until he helped her heal. The sun on Yalara rose slowly, painting the sky in shades of orange and soft blue. The silver trees glowed gently in the morning light. Kai sat at the edge of the clearing, cleaning his tools while watching the alien woman out of the corner of his eye. She was sitting near the statue they had found yesterday, gently brushing dirt from its surface with her fingers. There was something sacred in the way she touched it. She hadn't spoken again since she whispered the word, "forgive," but her actions said a lot. This land meant something to her, maybe everything. Kai stood up, stretched his back, and walked over. "I'm going to scan the area again, try to understand more about this place. Do you want to come?" The alien woman looked at him quietly for a few seconds, then stood and followed. She didn't speak, but she walked beside him. Her steps were light, almost silent. As they moved deeper into the forest, Kai noticed how the air felt cooler, heavier. The birds here didn't sing. Insects made no noise. It was peaceful, but too peaceful. It reminded Kai of abandoned places, places where life once existed, but no longer thrived. After an hour of walking, they reached a strange clearing. At its center stood a metal pole with a half-broken antenna on top. Moss had covered most of it, but Kai recognized the shape. Human. Tech. His scanner beeped softly. He moved closer and cleaned off a panel. His heart jumped when he saw the faded logo, United Human Exploration Corps. Kai stepped back, confused. This can't be right. This mission was marked as unexplored. The alien woman stared at the pole. Her eyes darkened. "You know this, don't you?" Kai asked her. She didn't answer. Instead, she slowly walked around the clearing and stopped near a small patch of ground. She knelt and began brushing away the leaves. Kai joined her and helped. Beneath the soil, they found something else, a buried hatch. It was rusty, covered in vines, and barely visible, but the scanner confirmed it. It led underground. Kai touched the surface, trying to find a way to open it. After some effort, he pulled the old latch. A soft hiss of air escaped and the door creaked open. A metal ladder led into the dark. Kai turned on his headlamp. "I'll go down first." He climbed down slowly, careful with every step. The tunnel was small, old, and smelled like rust and dust. At the bottom, he found a hallway made of steel. Faint emergency lights flickered on as he stepped forward. The alien woman soon followed, quiet as always. They walked slowly through the hall. Old crates, broken screens, and empty data pads lay scattered across the floor. On one wall, faded posters showed smiling human faces and words like "Unity across the stars." Kai's face grew serious. This was a research station, but what were they researching? At the end of the hall, they reached a sealed room. The door had scratches, deep ones, as if someone tried to claw their way out. The alien woman stopped. Her body froze. She stared at the door with wide eyes, breathing faster. Kai looked at her. "You've been here before, haven't you?" She didn't respond, but the answer was clear. Kai stepped forward and forced the door open. Inside was a small room. Broken restraints hung from the walls. A cracked chair with steel straps sat in the center. The air was cold. A feeling of sadness filled the space. The woman walked in slowly. Her hands trembled as she touched the straps. She whispered something in her own language, a soft, broken sound that ended in silence. Kai's heart felt heavy. This wasn't just an old lab. This was a place of suffering. He walked to a dusty terminal and tried to power it on. To his surprise, it blinked to life, running on old backup energy. The logs were still stored. He opened one. Log entry 47, testing. Subject number 03. Notes. Subject shows strong emotional reaction to human presence. Continue isolation and observe further. Kai scrolled down. Log entry 55. Subject resisted again. Memory trigger confirmed. Possible recognition of visual patterns linked to commanding officer. Strange results. He stopped reading. Subject number 03. He turned to the alien woman. She was staring at the floor where a broken bracelet lay. It was old, small, and made of vines. Probably something she made as a child. You were the subject, Kai whispered. She didn't need to answer. The truth was already clear. She had been taken by humans long ago, kept here, studied, watched. And the moment she saw Kai's face days ago, she had seen something from that past. A memory. A face that looked like his. Kai clenched his fists. I didn't know, I swear, but whoever did this, and they were monsters. She turned to him. Her eyes were filled with tears again, but this time there was also something else. Hope. A small light behind the sadness. Kai reached into his bag and pulled out a small scanner. There might be more logs, more answers. Let me help you find them. They searched the rest of the lab. They found old drawings carved into walls made by a child's hand. Stars, birds, faces. One face looked like his. The woman had once drawn her captors, and one of them looked just like Kai. But why? As they walked back to the surface, Kai knew the mystery had only just begun. She hadn't spoken much, but everything she did told him she wanted him to understand. Back at the campfire, they sat quietly. Kai finally said, I think someone who looked like me hurt you. I don't know how, but I'll find out. I promise. The alien woman looked at him and nodded again. The silence was no longer empty. Now it was a bond. The days on Yalara grew quieter, but Kai's mind was full of questions. He had seen the lab beneath the forest, the broken restraints, and the logs of old experiments. Each clue painted a dark picture, but the alien woman, whom he learned to call Liari, showed no anger. Instead, she seemed lost in memories too painful to speak. Kai spent long hours scanning the area around their camp, searching for any signs of other survivors or hidden records. One afternoon, he found a hidden trail carved into the forest floor. It was narrow but well used. Someone had walked here recently. He called Liari over. This path, maybe it leads to somewhere safe, or someone else. She looked at the trail, then nodded silently. Together, they followed the winding path. The trees grew thicker and the air smelled fresher. After about an hour, the trail opened into a small valley surrounded by giant rocks. In the center was a clearing with scattered ruins, old buildings mostly fallen to dust. But the walls still held strange symbols and faded paintings. Kai scanned them carefully. These symbols, they look like a mix of alien language and old human markings, he said. Liari knelt and traced a hand over one symbol. It was the same symbol Kai had seen on the buried hatch, the mark of the United Human Exploration Corps. Kai's heart sank. It seemed humans had been here before, long ago. And something had gone very wrong. As Kai explored the ruins, he found a hidden room beneath what was once a large building. Inside were data pads and holoscreens still flickering with weak power. He picked up one pad and wiped the dust away. The Rai, title read, Project Genesis, field report. He tapped the screen and the report began to play. Year 2457. Mission to Yalara initiated to study native species. Objective: secure research samples for medical advancements. The voice was cold, and Clinical Kai's eyes narrowed. They took samples from the native people? The next pages told a terrible story. The human expedition had trapped many of the native aliens. They conducted experiments to learn about their biology, emotions, and weaknesses. Many natives were hurt or lost. Kai felt anger boil inside him. How could humans do such a thing? Especially to being so peaceful, so beautiful. Suddenly, Liari spoke softly for the first time since that night. I was, one of them. Kai turned quickly. She looked at the ground, her voice shaky. I was a child when they took me. I was scared. They hurt me. I ran, but I never forgot. Kai's chest tightened. I'm so sorry, no one should suffer like that. She looked up at him with tears in her eyes. When I saw you, I thought, maybe he returned, the one who looked like you. Kai swallowed hard. Who? Tell me. She hesitated, then nodded slowly. The commander, he was cruel. He wore a mask, but his eyes were like yours, cold and hard. I feared him more than anything. Kai looked down. My great-uncle was a commander on an expedition like this. I never knew what he did here. Liari's voice was barely a whisper. He was the nightmare of my childhood. Kai sat back against a broken wall. He needed time to think. He pulled out his communicator and sent a message to Earth Command. Found evidence of old human experiments on Yalara. Confirmed presence of missing expedition. Requesting data files on past missions. The reply was slow, but finally a message came back. Acknowledged. Searching archives. Warning, sensitive information. Some records may be classified. Kai sighed. He looked at Liari. I want to help you, but first, we need to know everything. That night, under the stars, Kai and Liari talked quietly. She told him about the underground prison where she had been kept, about the other captives, some who never escaped, about the pain, the fear, and the loneliness. Kai listened carefully. He shared stories of humanity too, how people could be cruel, but also brave and kind, how he hoped to make a difference. Liari finally smiled, a small, fragile smile. You are not him, she said. Your eyes, they are different, warm. Kai felt a warmth inside. For the first time, he felt like he could be more than just a stranger to her. The next day, Kai found an old cryopod buried under tree roots near the ruins. It was cracked but still intact. Inside, a frozen human figure lay. The uniform was torn, but the insignia was clear, the same as the commander in the logs. Kai's heart pounded. He scanned the pod and found records attached. The logs revealed the commander's name, Commander Rax. He had led the mission and ordered the experiments. Kai felt a heavy weight. He looked at Liari. This man, he was family. She nodded. And he hurt us. Kai touched the pod gently. I'm not him, but I will carry his mistakes. I will fix what he broke. Liari took his hand. For the first time, she trusted him fully. As the sun set, Kai made a promise under the purple sky. He would not let the past be forgotten. He would protect Liari and her people, and he would make sure the truth came to light, no matter the cost. Kai stood beside the cracked cryopod, feeling the weight of history pressing down on him. The air around them was still, heavy with memories that refused to fade. Liari watched him quietly, her pale eyes reflecting a mix of pain and hope. We can't leave this here, Kai said softly. This pod, these records, they hold the truth. People need to know. Liari nodded, but remained silent. Trust was a fragile thing between them, and Kai knew he had to be patient. He had to show her he was different from the commander in the pod. Over the next few days, Kai worked to clear the old research station. He carefully collected data pads, holoscreens, and artifacts. Liari helped by pointing out places she remembered, hidden tunnels, secret rooms, and symbols carved in the walls. Together, they uncovered a network of forgotten halls beneath the forest, places no human had entered in decades. Kai scanned each room, piecing together the story bit by bit. One room was a medical bay, filled with machines designed to study alien biology. Broken tools lay scattered. Another was a holding cell, where the walls were scratched with desperate messages. Liari traced the marks with trembling fingers. They called this place the silent cage. Kai's heart clenched. He wanted to heal her wounds, but knew it would take time. One evening, after a long day of searching, Kai set up a small holographic projector. Using the recovered data, he played back a recording from the old expedition. The holo showed a stern man in a commander's uniform, Commander Rax. His eyes were cold and his voice harsh. Subjects must be controlled, their resistance will, and we advance science no matter the cost. Liari's face twisted in pain. Kai switched off the holo and looked at her. This man, your nightmare. I'm not him. I will never be him. She reached out slowly and placed her hand on his arm. I want to believe that, she said quietly. Kai smiled, feeling a connection grow between them. Kai knew that to help Liari fully, he had to teach her how to survive in this new time. The old world had changed. Earth was different. Technology was advanced. He showed her how to use his tools, a small scanner, a communicator, and a medical kit. She learned quickly, her sharp mind soaking up every lesson. But it wasn't just about survival. Kai also shared stories of humanity, of kindness, courage, and hope. He told her about people who fought for peace, who worked to make up for past mistakes. Liari listened, her eyes shining with curiosity. For the first time, she laughed softly. As days passed, their bond grew stronger. Kai felt the walls around. Liari's heart began to break. She started to share her past in small pieces. She told him about her village, hidden deep in the forest, where families lived in harmony with nature. She spoke of her mother's gentle hands and her father's wise words. But then the war came. Humans arrived. They took her away. Years passed in captivity, alone and scared. One night, as they sat by the campfire, Kai looked at Liari and asked, "Why did you cry when you first saw me?" She looked into the flames before answering. "I saw your eyes. They were like his, the commander's. I thought the pain would come again." Kai took her hand gently. "But you saw something else, didn't you?" She nodded. "Your eyes were not cold. They were warm. And that gave me hope." Kai smiled, softly. "That hope is real, and I'll protect it." But healing was not easy. Liari's past haunted her. She sometimes woke in the night trembling. Kai stayed by her side, offering comfort. He understood her pain was deep. He knew his promise was more than words. It was a mission. One afternoon, while exploring near the ruins, they found a hidden room with a strange device. It looked like a large crystal suspended inside a metal frame. Kai scanned it carefully. "This is a neural data core. It stores memories and thoughts of the crew." Liari's eyes widened. "Can we access it?" Kai nodded. Using his tools, he connected to the device. A soft glow filled the room as images and sounds began to play. They saw faces, men and women from the old expedition. They heard voices filled with fear, regret, and sometimes hope. One recording caught Kai's attention. A scientist speaking of a cure for the damage caused by the experiments. "But the commander stopped us," the voice said. "He feared losing control." Kai looked at Liari. "This could help you and others who suffered." She smiled for the first time in days. Kai and Liari worked together to recover the neural data. Each new memory helped them understand the past and plan for the future. They promised to bring justice and healing. The forest around them seemed less lonely now. The silence was softer. And between Kai and Liari, a new story was beginning. One not of pain, but of hope. The moonlight filtered softly through the silver leaves, casting gentle shadows on the clearing where Kai and Liari sat. The air was cool and still. For the first time since their meeting, there was peace between them. Kai held a small device in his hands. A data pad with all the recovered memories and records from the underground station. Liari watched the flickering images, her face calm, but thoughtful. "It's time," Kai said quietly. "We need to share the truth." Liari nodded. She had carried a heavy secret for too long. The pain, fear, and loneliness buried deep inside her heart were now ready to be faced. Kai prepared a secure communication link to Earth's Galactic Council. The Council was the highest authority overseeing all human and alien relations. If anyone could help bring justice, it was them. As the link opened, Kai spoke clearly. "I'm Kai, an explorer from Earth. I bring evidence of past crimes committed by humans on Yalara. This woman, Liari, was a victim. We want to share her story." The council representatives listened carefully as Kai and Liari presented the records, the cryopod, the neural data, and Liari's own memories. There was silence for a moment. Then, one official spoke. "This is a grave violation. We will open a full investigation immediately." Kai felt a wave of relief. The truth was finally being seen. After the council session ended, Kai and Liari sat alone again. Liari reached out, touching Kai's face gently. "Why did I cry when I first looked at you?" she asked softly. Kai smiled, waiting for her to answer. Liari took a deep breath. "When I saw your eyes, I remembered him, the commander who hurt me and many others. His eyes were cold and full of hate." She paused, tears shining in her own eyes. "But then I saw yours. They were different, warm, kind, full of life. That gave me hope. Hope that not all humans are like him. Hope that I could trust again." Kai's heart ached at her words. "I'm sorry you had to suffer, but I'm here now. And I promise, I will protect you." Liari smiled softly. "You already do." Days passed, and Kai helped Liari adjust to the new world. Together they planned to help the other survivors, those hidden deep in Yalara's forests or lost in memories. Kai sent messages to Earth to bring aid. Medical teams, historians, and peacekeepers were on their way, but most important was the bond between Kai and Liari. It grew stronger with each day, a bond built on trust, understanding, and hope. One afternoon, as they walked through the forest, Kai asked, "Do you believe people can change?" Liari thought for a moment. "Some do. I've seen kindness in your eyes. I believe that is the start." Kai smiled. "Then together, we can build a better future." They reached the clearing, where the ancient statue stood. Liari knelt and touched it. "This place holds memories of pain, but also of strength. We must remember both." Kai nodded. "And we will." As the twin moons rose, Kai looked at Liari with quiet admiration. She was no longer just a lost alien, woman. She was a survivor, a teacher, a symbol of hope for all who had suffered. And Kai knew one thing for sure. Her tears had not been just for the past. They were for a future yet to come. A future where humans and aliens could stand side by side together.